Hello, and welcome to Openly Gamer Theater's production of The Stygian Fragment, a Call of Cthulhu roleplay drama.
This is Mike, and I'm playing Father Evan Daniel Leary.
Hello, this is Dan, and I am playing Phineas Lockwood.
This is Brandon. I'll be playing Clarence Rouse.
This is Shannon. I'm playing Julia Margaret Barnes.
This is Jayson. I'm playing Jack Houston Smith.
And I'm Shawn. I'm playing Robert Louis Covington.
Be warned, the following content may not be suitable for all audiences.
While Rouse and I waited in his office for the taxi that Betty called for, we worked out our next step in the investigation. We only had a few hours until we were to meet up with the others at the plaza. The plan was to make sure that we were on the same page before going to the Falstaff mansion. One of the other newspaper clippings, as I mentioned to Falstaff, I was kind of trying to gauge his reaction to seeing whether or not he was involved or knew anything about it. One of the newspaper clippings we found in Dorian's room mentioned the Gedeke brothers. Leonard Price Jr. was kidnapped. He's a 16-year-old boy. He was kidnapped. He is the son of the owners of the National Candy Company. He was last seen at the factory site on Gravois. The Gedeke brothers are working on that site.
How long ago was this kidnapping?
Earlier this month.
Oh, all right.
I guess we could use some of your police
yeah, I was
connection.
saying, let me call
at the...
down to the station, see what they know before we head out there and ruffle some feathers.
He got on his phone and was soon talking to the detective working on the Price kidnapping case. Rouse's face soured when he heard the voice on the other end. Apparently, he and this guy had a history. Clarence later told me that Vernon Mann was a real flat tire and absolutely hated him.
Mann.
Hey, detective, this is Clarence Rouse. How you been?
Rouse. What you been doing with yourself?
Drunk.
Uh-huh.
You're working the Price case?
Yeah.
What kind of progress are you making? You know anything?
What's it to you?
It's just a little case I'm working. Just trying to see what I can find out before I go talk with them. I don't want to upset them.
Someone hired you to work the Price Kid case?
It's tough to believe, isn't it?
All right, I'll bite. What do we know? Dad went to the build site for a meeting with the construction company. Took Junior with him. Kid waits in the car. Chauffeur interrupts the meeting, stating the kid went to take a leak and never came back. Only evidence is the kid's hat, found by the fence. Because of the nearby rail yard, we shook up a couple of tramps. Nobody knows nothing. Kid just vanished.
Wow, that's good. That's good police work. I knew all that from the paper.
All right, smart guy. You know something that I don't?
I will soon enough.
Don't go harassing the Prices, and don't ever call me again.
What'd you find out?
Oh, well, we found out they're near the rail yard. They don't know anything. We could head out, talk to the family.
We took the cab to the Price family home on Forsyth, a real affluent area of the city a few blocks west of Forest Park. Rouse had the cabbie keep the meter running. He didn't expect to get let in, much less take long. When the maid answered the door, I flashed my press credentials in her face and asked to see Mr. Price regarding the kidnapping of Leonard Jr. She closed the door in our faces. Just when we were about to turn around and get back in the cab, she opened the door and invited us in. We both stood just inside the foyer in total surprise when Leonard Price Sr. came out of a side room. My first impression of him was that this dapper, with his tight style and elegant manner, looked like what every drugstore cowboy wished that they could pull off.
Mr. Rouse and Miss Barnes.
Mr. Price, nice to meet you. Sorry for your loss. Julia here is doing a piece. We're maybe trying to shed some light on this kidnapping where the police have failed.
I see. Please, come into my office.
Thank you.
We followed him into the room behind him, a rather lavish office. Rouse and I took seats as he closed the door.
I'm not sure if you can find out more than the police have, but at this juncture, I'm willing to try anything.
The corners of his mouth tightened slightly. I could tell he was restraining pin-up emotions, composing himself, hiding behind decorum. Price motioned toward an ornate liquor cabinet set into the far wall.
Would you like a drink?
No, thank you.
What do you have?
Scotch?
Scotch, please. Thank you. Not my mom.
He handed Rouse a half-full malt glass and leaned against the corner of his desk.
Do you have any information about my son?
Not really. I'm trying to, and forgive me for bringing up anything that's painful, but is there anything you can remember about that day? What can you walk through your steps?
He pursed his lips in thought, manicured index finger idly tapping the rim of his glass, causing the amber liquid to bounce.
I had a 9:30 meeting with Mr. Norton, my architect, as well as Stanley Gedeke at the site of my new factory. While I was inside, Junior waited in the car with my chauffeur. He needed to relieve himself and walked behind a brick pile. James, my chauffeur, went to look for him after he didn't return, and he was gone.
What can you tell me about your son? To be the type to run off?
Oh no, Leo is a very intelligent and well-mannered boy.
Your driver, he worked for you very long?
Decades. His family has worked for mine for generations.
So I'm assuming he's still employed with you.
He is.
Price sniffed, put his glass to his lips, and took a deep pull. Then he looked at me, unable to mask the pain in his eyes this time.
The police are telling us that it is likely a transient took my son. We've offered a $10,000 reward, but still nothing.
You've not...
What?
I'm sorry, Julia. You've not received a ransom demand?
No. That is why the police are saying that they suspect a vagrant may have taken him.
What can you tell me about your work with or rather their work with you, of the Gedeke brothers?
I hired them based on their reputation. They are known for efficient and stable work.
Did they have any sort of security on the site?
Yes, there is always security on a construction site, guarding tools, supplies.
Did any of the security people, did it seem like there were a superfluous amount of security?
I really don't know. There seemed an appropriate amount, I suppose. I trust those that I hire to get the job done. I'm not in the construction business, nor security. I pay them to do that.
Make a no roll.
Yeah. I need an 85 or less. 66.
Right then it clicked. I had seen Price's face before, when I first came to town. Shortly after I claimed my inheritance from my uncle's estate, I began nosing my way into St. Louis society. Circles that I knew Cindy was involved with, doing what I could to get information on the Black-Veiled Prophet. There was an article in the Post, several years ago, about Price and the society. I began flipping backwards through my notebook.
Well, she's looking through her notebook for God knows what. Can I get a refresher on my scotch?
Sure. You seem like a single malt man.
I'm in any kind of malt man, yes, sir.
I continued to scan my old notes as Clarence kept Price talking.
Your meeting was presumably during the middle of the day?
In the morning, yes.
With dozens of workers around, I imagine?
Yes, it was really windy that morning, so we parked away from most of the work, off the north end of the site, to avoid some of the grit that was getting on the car.
Could he be easily overpowered?
I suppose. He isn't overly fit, if that's what you mean. Certainly no weakling, though.
It was windy that day. I guess that would make it hard to hear him yell if the wind was blowing the correct way.
No one heard a thing.
I imagine the police have spoke to your driver.
At length. I trust James. He is heartbroken.
Mr. Price, I remember seeing your name in the paper before. Something to do with some societal thing.
My wife and I aren't much for social activities, though we have been known to go to a few charity functions.
I think it was the Black Veil Prophet?
His hand stopped, mid-sip. There it was. A real reaction.
Well, you have a good memory, Miss Barnes. That article was written several years ago.
Newspapers are what I do.
I see. Yes. I was asked to join the society. I declined.
Price's brows furrowed. I could see the wheels turning. He was piecing something together.
When I did so, I was told...
Then his eyes widened.
I was told to rethink my position. To consider my family.
When did this happen?
2 years ago.
I looked at his hand, the one holding his drink. It shook slightly.
That son of a...
Is this guy upset enough about his son being missing?
Yeah, it looks like he's about to drop his drink. And he shakes and sets the glass down. And you see him put his hand on his desk as if to keep himself up.
Price began to tremble with emotion. I stood up and stepped beside him, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. He absently looked at my hand, then up into my eyes.
How did you know to ask about that?
I actually have a bit of an interest in the Black Veil Prophet. Do you remember the fire that happened 7 years ago?
In the cave, I've heard stories.
That is ultimately what we are investigating.
And that led to me and my son.
Yes.
Do you think they are connected?
Yes. Is the Gedeke family part of the Black Veil Prophet?
Maybe. If they are, they would be rank-and-file members. They don't have the breeding for anything higher than that.
Who asked you to join?
Oliver Laclede. It was not long after I took over the company from my father. I attended a dinner party where he asked me to join. As I said, I declined. I could tell that it angered him.
What prompted you to decline such an invitation?
Price stared at his hands, clearly not wanting to tell us anything more. From my notebook, I pulled out the picture of Cindy and showed it to him. Confusion momentarily crossed his face as he looked at it. Then he turned his eyes to mine. I could see it. He put it together. Why we were really there, and what we were looking for. He nodded in understanding, straightened, and looked at Clarence.
You are not the only people to have lost someone in that fire. Nor are you alone in suspecting that the Black Veiled Prophet Society had a hand in it.
Do you know anything about that night?
I wasn't there.
His eyes moved from Rouse's to mine.
I lost someone special to me that night.
Who did you lose?
I'd rather not say.
I lost my big brother that night, and I would love nothing more than to get to the bottom of what happened that night. Anything you can tell us about that night is only going to help us get that much closer. That could lead us to also getting your son back to you safe.
Resolve building on his face, he nodded.
My father was a member of that society. Being a legacy, I was expected to join when invited. My sister, Claire. She was invited to the ball. She was there.
Price leaned against his desk, silent, lost in thought, then slowly started talking again.
Up until then, membership was very exclusive. That year, they changed their recruitment practices, opened up like never before. And all the prospective members perished, and they covered it up. I hate them.
I understand that.
I declined because of what they did, who they are. I want to protect my family, earn an honest living. I don't want to be beholden to some secret society who only understand power and control.
I know this is kind of a long shot, but I know a lot of higher society families frequently socialize with one another. Do you know the Heirbergs?
Heirberg, the grocers?
Yeah, the Heirbergs, Fred and Lenore?
I know of them.
Oh, you don't know them personally?
No.
I didn't know if perhaps they had been approached with a similar...
No. Oliver and many of the other members distrust Jews. They would never invite them.
Price's demeanor changed. He stood erect,